The metal doors hissed open. 2 alien guards, tall and scaled with sharp yellow eyes, dragged a chained girl into the chamber. Her wrists were bound, ankles too. Her skin shimmered faintly under the light's purple-toned, smooth, almost glowing. She walked with her head low, but her back straight. She didn't cry. She didn't ask questions. She had learned not to. The room was silent, except for the sound of her chains. A human stood near the center. Tall, scarred, eyes cold like ice. His name was Cole. They had dressed him in royal robes, placed golden cuffs on his arms, painted marks of honor on his face. He looked like a noble, not a prisoner, but he didn't move. Didn't speak. The alien commander stepped forward. "This is your gift," she said in her slithery voice. "As promised, human, she is clean, obedient, and untouched. Use her how you like. She is yours now." Cole said nothing. The guards shoved the girl to her knees before him and unlocked her shackles. Her arms dropped weakly. She didn't look up. Her long, dark hair covered her face. Silence. The commander left. Laughing. The doors sealed shut behind her. Now only 2 remained. The alien girl finally raised her head. Her lips were trembling, but her voice was steady. "I was given to you. Why haven't you touched me yet?" she asked. Cole blinked. He stepped back. Away from her. She tilted her head, confused. "Is something wrong with me?" He didn't answer. She looked down at herself, inspecting her arms, her legs, her clothing, or lack of it. "I was told, if I please you, I will be fed better, allowed to sleep indoors." Still he said nothing. Finally he spoke. "I don't want a slave," he said, her brow furrowed. "But I am a gift. I don't want a gift either." She stared at him like he had spoken in another language. Her whole life had been training, silence, and obedience. No one had ever said that to her. No one had ever refused her. "I don't understand," she whispered. Cole turned away and sat on the floor against the wall. He looked tired. Not just from the day, but from everything. His eyes carried something older than the war. She stayed on her knees, still trying to process his reaction. Was this a trick? A test? Minutes passed. He didn't touch her. Didn't look at her. "Am I ugly to humans?" she asked softly. "No, you're beautiful," he said simply. "Then why not command me, hurt me, or use me?" Her voice cracked for the first time. "That's what all others do." He sighed and looked at her, finally looked at her. "Because I'm not like them." Her lips parted slightly. Something stirred in her chest, something unfamiliar. "Then, what do you want me to do?" he answered quietly. "Eat, rest, heal." She blinked. He reached into a side tray and pulled out a small packet of food. He gently tossed it toward her. She caught it, but stared at it like it was a bomb. "You're feeding me?" "Yeah." She looked down. Her hands were shaking. "I don't remember the last time I was given food without a price," she said. "Or without bleeding first." Cole's jaw tightened. He didn't reply. She slowly opened the pack. The smell hit her like a wave. She tried to control her expression, but a tear slipped out. She quickly wiped it away, embarrassed. "I'm sorry," she said. "For what?" "I'm being weak. You're being human." That made her look up again. Her violet eyes locked with his. "But I'm not human. You could have fooled me." They sat in silence for a while. She ate slowly, her movements careful, as if afraid the food might vanish. Cole leaned back, watching the ceiling. "You have a name?" he asked. "No," she replied after a moment. "I was never given one." He nodded. "Then we'll fix that too. Why are you doing this?" She whispered. "They told me humans were animals. They were wrong." The room fell quiet again, but in the shadows, behind the ventilation grate high in the corner, someone else was watching. A figure hidden, eyes glowing faintly. She clenched her fists as she watched the 2 below. He was supposed to be hers. Asterisk. She. Didn't sleep that night, even though she had a soft blanket now. Even though her stomach was full for the first time in years, she stayed curled on the cold floor beside the wall, pretending to rest, but her eyes never fully closed. Why didn't he touch her? That question kept spinning in her mind like a broken wheel. Back in the slave pens, the trainer said human males were aggressive, lust-driven monsters. They warned her that if she was ever gifted, she must obey fast, please faster, or be discarded. But this human ... just sat in silence. Gave her food, gave her space. He even called her beautiful. That word had never been meant for her before. It had always belonged to someone else, someone more valuable, someone untouched. She watched him sleep. His chest rose and fell slowly. He had turned his back to her. No fear, no desire. Just peace. She didn't understand it, and it scared her. By morning, Cole stirred. He rubbed his eyes and sat up. She quickly looked down. You didn't sleep, he said without asking. She shook her head. Didn't want to. He noticed the bruises on her wrists left from the chains. Quietly, he reached into a side bag and pulled out a cream. No words. He gently placed it beside her and backed off again. She stared at it. He noticed. It won't hurt you. I know, she whispered, but she didn't move to use it. Can I ask you something? She asked after a long pause. He nodded. What were you before this? Before being gifted me? Cole looked at her, surprised by the question. Most slaves didn't talk unless told to. I was a soldier, he said. In the frontier wars. Got captured when my squad was overrun. They tried to break me. Tried? She asked, tilting her head. They failed. Her lips curled into the tiniest smile. That sounds like something I used to dream about. What did you dream? She hesitated. That one day, someone would look at me like I was more than property. Cole stared at her. There was a soft sadness in his gaze. You were always more. No, I wasn't, she said flatly. Not to them, he asked. Do you remember your first day in chains? She nodded. I was 6, she said. I dropped a water jug. The guards beat me until I couldn't walk. My trainer said the lesson was, break early. Obey always. He clenched his jaw. And yet, he said, you're still standing. She looked away. That's not strength. That's survival. No, he said firmly. That's defiance. She finally picked up the cream and applied it to her wrists slowly. Do you have a name? She asked. Cole. That's short. He smiled slightly. Short works. I want one too. He raised an eyebrow. I don't want to be just the girl anymore, she said. Can you give me something? Cole thought for a moment, then said, how about Solari? She blinked. It means what? In my people's old tongue it means the one who chose her own path. Her breath caught. No one had ever given her a name before, let alone one with meaning. Solari. She whispered. That's beautiful. He smiled again. Fits you. Suddenly, a faint beep echoed from the far wall. A message panel lit up. A hologram flickered on, showing the alien commander's face. Gift Unit 4, she said coldly. Looking directly at Solari, it's been one full cycle. Have you earned your right to stay, or shall we replace you with a better model? Solari's shoulders to ENCD. Cole stood and stepped forward. She stays, he said firmly. The commander smirked. Then prove it, human. Show us that she's yours, now. The hologram blinked off. Solari sat frozen. Cole turned toward her. They're testing us, she nodded. They want you to claim me. Publicly, he didn't move. Do you want that? She looked at him, her eyes suddenly soft. I want to choose for once. Then choose, he said, right now. The silence was heavy. Her hands trembled in her lap, but her voice, when it came, was calm. I choose not to be touched, not yet. He nodded. Then said, loud enough for the hidden mics to catch, "She is mine, but I will not touch her until she touches me." In the ceiling vents, the same glowing eyes from before narrowed. Jealousy burned. Cliffhanger. Later that night, when Cole was away, someone else slipped into the room. It was late. The lights in the chamber were dimmed, set to sleep mode, but no one inside was asleep. Saelar. I sat by the wall, hugging her knees, quietly thinking. Cole had gone to the outer wing hours ago, summoned for some human display in the court. She didn't like how that sounded. She had just started to feel safe. Now the room felt colder without him. Suddenly, the air vent above her gave a sharp clink. She froze. Figure dropped into the room without a sound. It was another alien female, tall and dressed in black cloth, her silver hair braided tightly down her back. Her eyes glowed faint red, filled with hate. "You don't belong here," the woman hissed. Solari stood quickly, heart racing. "Who are you?" The woman didn't answer. She moved fast, grabbing Solari by the arm and slamming her against the wall. "You were just a test. A toy to see if the human could be controlled by softness." "I'm not pretending," Solari gasped, struggling. "Exactly. That's the problem," the woman snapped. Before Solari could fight back, the woman hissed in her ear, "Let me make something clear. He was promised to someone else, me." Then just as quickly as she came, she disappeared back into the vent. When Cole returned, Solari was sitting on the floor again, trying to hide the bruise on her shoulder. He noticed anyway. "What happened?" She paused. "I slipped." He stared at her. Didn't believe a word, but didn't press. Instead, he knelt down and pulled out a small medical patch. He gently placed it on her arm. As he leaned forward, his shirt slipped from his shoulder. She saw it. A strange mark burned deep into his back. Dark and twisted. A jagged symbol of some kind. Her eyes widened. That's the slave mark," she whispered. Cole froze. "You were—" He stood and pulled the shirt back up. "Yeah, you were enslaved?" she said, voice shaking. "For 2 years," he said. "Camp K-17, off-grid. Illegal even by their laws. We weren't prisoners of war. We were test subjects." Solari's legs gave out. She sat down hard. "I thought humans died in those camps. Most did. But you escaped?" He looked at her. "No, I survived." She was silent for a moment. Then she asked something no one else had ever dared ask him. "What did they do to you?" He sat beside her, speaking quietly. "They tested how much pain we could take. Starvation, isolation, sound torture, forced hallucinations. Every time one of us died, they brought in another. We weren't people to them, we were just numbers." Her voice was barely a whisper. "And you still don't hate us?" "I hate monsters," he said, "not species." She looked at him like she was seeing him for the first time. "But why come back? Why accept this gift and return to their palace?" He turned and locked eyes with her. "Because I'm not done yet." Something cold slid into her spine. She understood now he wasn't just a survivor. He was a blade hiding in plain sight. A storm and quiet skin. Later that night, Cole sat cross-legged, cleaning a small metal object with a cloth. It looked like junk, but she noticed the careful way he handled it. "What is that?" she asked. He glanced at her. "An old lockpick. From the camp. I kept it. The guards never found it." "Why?" "To remind me. I didn't just survive, I stayed human." She walked closer, hesitating. Then finally sat beside him. She didn't reach for his hand, but she didn't pull away either when their knees touched. "I was raised to obey," she said, "to wait for commands, but now—" He looked at her. "I want to learn something new," she whispered, "something human." He smiled faintly. "Then I'll teach you. But just beyond the wall, deep inside the palace." The female spy from before knelt before a tall figure shrouded in robes. "He's growing close to her," she reported. "He trusts her." The robed figure hissed, voice like smoke. "Then it's time we break that trust." Cole never trusted. Palaces got too clean, too quiet, too controlled. And this one, the Imperial Hall of the Vexury Empire, was worse than most. It didn't just smell of money and power. It smelled of secrets. He'd lived through war, through torture, through years of silence in a dark cell. But here, in this golden prison disguised as a palace, he felt something colder than all that. He felt eyes watching. Always. It started with a sound, not a loud one. A small mechanical whir. He'd been adjusting the room's food dispenser panel. When he heard it something behind the wall, he ran his fingers along the metal and felt the faint outline of a door. Hidden. Not meant to be seen. Not by him. Not by anyone. He didn't say anything to Solari at first. She was reading slowly using a children's holobook he'd brought back from the court. Watching her sound out the words made him feel more human than anything else had in years. But the noise came again that night, and the next. Until finally, he had to know. He waited until she was asleep, then pried open the wall panel. The door hissed faintly, old tech. Not in use for years. He stepped inside. The hallway was dark, narrow, and cold. His boots echoed on the steel floor. No lights. He tapped a glow stick. Soft blue light filled the corridor. The walls were lined with vertical pods. Hundreds. Each pod held a girl, just like Solari, young, beautiful, alien, sleeping. Some had been there for days. Others by the data labels on the pods. For decades. He walked past the rows, jaw clenched. Each pod had a name label. Gift number 11, gift number 12. And so on. Many had no names at all. No birthdays. Just delivery tags. Some pods were empty. Some had frost on the inside. Some were shattered. Cole's stomach turned. This wasn't a slave room. This was storage. He returned to the main room just as Solari woke up. He didn't speak right away. She noticed his face. "What did you find?" she asked. He didn't answer with words. Just held out the data chip he had taken from the console. She placed it in the reader. A hologram appeared. A log. Screen. Gift storage report. Active stock. 136 units. Unused units beyond 3 cycles. Prepare for disposal. Training level. Varies. Memory adjustments. Applied as ordered. Solari's hand flew to her mouth. She scrolled down. Gift number 91. Assigned to human male. Status pending use. Her image was on the screen. Her voice cracked. "They kept us. Like items. They still do," Cole said. "But not for much longer." She turned to him slowly. "This is why you came back, isn't it?" He nodded. "They think I'm broken, tamed." "But you're planning something," she whispered. "Revenge?" He didn't smile. Didn't blink. Freedom. The next morning, the alien commander entered with her usual fake smile. "How is our human adjusting?" she asked, her voice full of poison wrapped in honey. Cole stood calmly. "I want to request something," he said. "Oh? A name?" The commander looked confused. "A name for what?" He turned to Solari. "For her." The commander scoffed. "She doesn't need one. She's a gift." "She has a name," he said coldly. "Solari." The room fell quiet. "That name is not approved," the commander started. "I approve it." His voice cut through the air like a blade. Back in the hallway, 2 guards whispered as the commander stormed past. "The human is making noise. Should we report it to the Emperor?" "No," the other one said with a smirk. "Let him dance a little longer." In the end, they all bow. That night, Solari sat beside Cole. She looked different now. Not just cleaner. Not just fed. She looked awake. "I never thought someone like me could matter," she said. "You matter to me," he replied. She looked at him, unsure what to say. But then bang! The hidden door exploded open. Smoke, lights, shout-in. Figures poured in. Not guards. Spies. And at the front of them, the silver-haired woman with glowing red eyes. Cliffhanger. She pointed a weapon at Solari and said, "Time's up, little pet. Your human made the wrong choice." The alarm blared through the palace like a dying animal. Flashing red lights washed over the walls. Steel doors slammed shut one after another, locking down corridors. Guards shouted commands in a language Cole didn't care to understand anymore. He'd waited long enough. Now it was time to run. The attackers had come straight through the hidden door. Solari barely dodged the stun dart as the silver-haired spy took aim again, but she didn't scream. She didn't freeze. She moved. Cole pulled her behind a table, grabbing a shield panel from the wall just in time to block the next pulse blast. "You said this would happen," Solari shouted. "I said something would happen," Cole muttered, prying open the maintenance hatch near the floor. "Where are we going?" "Out." The hatch led to the old supply shafts, crawling-sized tunnels only used during emergencies. Cole had memorized them days ago. He didn't trust fancy doors and alien tech. He trusted old metal. He motioned for her to go first. Solari hesitated. "What if this is worse than the palace?" Cole gave her a look. "You really think I'd go through all this just to die in a pipe?" She crawled in. They moved fast. Behind them, boots thundered through the halls. Guards searched every corner. Drones scanned every vent. Cole pulled up his old war interface, half-hacked, half-scavenged. He tapped into the palace's map grid. Route 73. Unused. Redirected for waste disposal. Perfect. Follow this tunnel. Take a left after the first drop. There's a duct that leads to a service lift. Where does it go? Solari asked, breathless. Out of the palace and straight into the dead zone. She blinked. That's suicide. No, that's freedom, Cole replied. Back in the palace, the commander stood before the Emperor's throne, furious. They've disappeared, my lord. The human, he's using old tunnels. The Emperor didn't move. His voice was calm. Too calm. That means he was always planning this. The commander nodded. I underestimated him. No, the Emperor said, voice like smoke. You underestimated her. Down in the tunnels, the heat rose fast. Pipes hissed. Vents leaked pressure. Cole's palms burned as he pulled Solari up onto the next ledge. She coughed from the smoke. Why would a palace have escape routes like this? Because the rich never planned to stay during a war. She smiled weakly. So we're using their panic plan. Exactly. They reached the lift shaft. The door was sealed shut. Cole pulled out his lockpick, the same one he'd smuggled from the war camp. It was old, scratched, slightly bent, but it worked. Click. The door opened. They climbed inside the rusted lift and dropped. Hard. The cable screamed, but held. Cole landed with a grunt. Solari landed on top of him, her face inches from his. Their eyes met, both breath-heavy, both bruised, both bleeding. But both alive, she whispered. You keep saving me. He answered, you keep choosing to come with me. The lift opened to a silent hallway. Dusty, forgotten, no guards, only one door ahead. Cole pushed it open and stepped out into freezing wind. The dead zone. The city beyond the palace wall was gray, ruined and full of scavengers, but it was free. They were outside. Solari looked up at the sky. No ceilings. No sensors. No cameras. Just air. Her hands shook. Her knees buckled. Cole caught her. This is real? She asked. Yes. She leaned into him. Then don't let me go. I won't. But in the darkness above, a drone recorded everything. It sent one word to the palace. Escaped. Cliffhanger. Back in the Emperor's chamber, the silver-haired spy knelt again. This isn't over. The Emperor smiled slowly. No, this is just the beginning. Let them run. They're about to find out what freedom really costs. Asterisk. They found shelter inside a collapsed freighter ship at the edge of the city ruins. It wasn't much, just broken walls, scorched panels, and a half-buried control room. But it had one thing that mattered. No one was watching. Cole patched up the broken door, blocking out the wind. Solari lit a small heat crystal and curled up on the floor. She didn't complain, not once, but her eyes wouldn't stop scanning the shadows, not because of the dark, because of what might be following. She hadn't told him yet. Not about the name that haunted her dreams, about the voice that still made her freeze when she heard it. Not about him. But now, deep in the safety of silence, her past came clawing back. "Cole," she said suddenly, "I need to tell you something." He looked up from where he was inspecting the stolen drone core. "I know you said we're free now, but there's someone I knew before you." Cole tilted his head. "Someone from the palace?" "No," she said. "Worse." She stood and pulled down her tunic slightly to show a mark under her collarbone. A branded sigil. Small but cruel. "He was the one who trained me, broke me, sold me." "Your master?" She nodded. "He called himself Torvash." Cole's jaw clenched. "Is he still alive?" "I don't know, but if he is, he won't let me go." As if fate had been waiting for that very name. A voice echoed outside the broken ship. "Solari, you always ran when you were scared." Her eyes widened. Cole moved instantly, gun drawn. Positioning himself between her and the door, the metal creaked. A tall figure stepped into the dim light. He wore a long dark coat, clean despite the dust. His face was sharp, almost handsome, except for the eyes. Dead. Cold. Torv. Double quotes. Well, he said. "My little creation, hiding behind a broken human. How poetic." Cole said nothing. His weapon remained steady. Torvash looked him over. "You must be the gift thief. I should thank you. Without this mess, I wouldn't have found her again." "You're not taking her," Cole said. Torvash laughed. "You think this is a rescue story?" No, human. She's mine. I built her from nothing. I designed her loyalty. She chose to leave. She doesn't choose. She obeys. That's what she was made for." Solari stepped forward, voice shaking. "I'm not yours anymore." Torvash's smile vanished. No. See, that's not how this ends. You were marked, branded, mine, by blood contract. I belong to no one," she said louder. Torvash moved suddenly fast, reaching for a shock prod on his belt. Cole fired. A flash of light. The prod clattered to the floor, shattered. Torvash held his burned hand, snarling. "She'll never be free, you hear me? Even if I die, others will come. She's property." Cole stepped forward, calm but deadly. "You already lost." Torvash looked between them. Then smiled again. "You think I came alone?" He tapped a button on his wrist. From outside, movement. 3 mercenary drones powered up, eyes red, weapons hot. "Time to see what she's worth to you, human." Cole turned to Solari, eyes focused. "You remember the escape tunnels?" She nodded. "Route 73. There's a backup shaft, Route 80. I saw it on the stolen maps. Take it. Go. I'm not leaving you." "Solari, I'm not leaving." She reached behind her and pulled something from her satchel. A small round device. "I took this from the palace armory. It's a pulse grenade. Short range, short fuse." Cole's eyes widened. "You know how to use it?" "No," she said, "but I'm about to learn." Boom. A bright flash exploded in the doorway, blinding light and a burst of EMP energy. The drones shut down instantly. When the smoke cleared, only 2 figures stood in the room, Solari and Cole. Torvash lay unconscious, face bruised. Solari stood over him, breathing hard. Her hands trembled, but not from fear, from release. Cole walked to her slowly. "You okay?" She looked down at her former master. Then up at Cole. I never thought I'd see him fall. You didn't just see it, Cole said. You made it happen. Cliffhanger. Far above, inside a silent orbiting ship, the Emperor watched the footage of the fight. He leaned back and whispered to the shadows around him, "The girl has teeth. Now good. Let her believe she's safe, before we remind her what she truly is." The fire crackled inside their small hideout, once a forgotten repair station buried under the ruins. It had been 3 days since they left Torvash unconscious in the dust. 3 days since Solari broke her chains, not just the ones on her wrists, but the ones buried deep in her mind. And yet, she hadn't said much since, not out of fear, not out of weakness, but because she was thinking for the first time in her life, thinking for herself. Cole was working quietly nearby, rewiring an old transmitter dish. He didn't ask her to help, didn't push. He let her breathe, but he watched her when she wasn't looking. Something had changed in her. She walked straighter now, spoke less, but with confidence. She no longer waited for permission before moving. He liked that, and it scared him a little. "Cole," she said suddenly. He looked up. "If we get out of this, if we make it off-world, what happens to me?" He paused, setting down his tools. "What do you want to happen?" he asked. She sat across from him. "No more hiding," she said. "No more collars, no more waiting to be chosen." She took a deep breath. "I want to choose my own life, even if it's messy, even if it's short," he smiled. "Then that's what we'll do." But just as she opened her mouth to reply, boom, the walls shook. Dust rained from the ceiling. Outside, ships, drones, soldiers. The Empire had found them. Cole grabbed his rifle. "Time's up." Solari didn't flinch. She stood tall. "They came for you," he said. "No," she replied. "They came for the version of me that used to obey. That version is gone." He nodded. "Then let's give them someone new." Outside, troops closed in. A commanding voice rang out over speakers. "Surrender the asset and the traitor. You will be spared." Solari stepped into the doorway and shouted back, "I am not an asset. I am not property. I am not a gift. I am Solari, and I choose him." The silence after her words was heavy. Then gunfire. They ran, back tunnels, collapsing corridors. Smoke filled the air. Cole was hit shoulder. He stumbled, but kept going. Solari didn't hesitate. She threw his arm over her shoulder and dragged him forward. They burst out of the back hatch, onto the landing pad where Cole had hidden a stolen skiff days earlier. "Start it," he gasped. "I've never flown a ship." "Then you're about to learn." She slammed buttons, yanked the ignition lever, and cursed it in 3 languages she'd never used before. The engines roared. The ship rose. Drones chased them, firing. But they lifted higher, then shot into the clouds. Inside the cockpit, Cole collapsed against the seat, blood seeping through his jacket. Solari grabbed medical gel and pressed it to his wound. "Don't die," she whispered. "I wasn't planning on it," he mumbled, eyes half shut. "You can't die yet," she said, voice breaking. "You still haven't touched me." He looked at her through hazy eyes, smiled. "I was waiting for the right moment." She leaned closer, rested her forehead against his. "This is it." Far behind them, the palace burned. Rebellion was spreading. The gift girl who refused to obey had lit a spark. No one could put out. She wasn't property. She wasn't a prize. She wasn't someone else's to command. She had become something dangerous. Free. Final scene. Weeks later, across the galaxy, a broadcast plays on a dozen outlaw stations. A woman's voice, calm, steady. "My name is Solari. I was raised in chains, but I found one human who showed me what freedom tastes like. And I want you all to know, you're not alone anymore. We're coming."